Hello, vinyl community and YouTube viewers around the world. Mazzy here. This is a whack-a-mole. I have no idea what number it is. I didn't look up, but this is a whack-a-mole in the dark. And it's not a Halloween edition since we're in February. Actually, today is George Harrison's birthday. But what happened is we're just getting into early evening. It's about 5:30, 6 o'clock, and it's getting dark up there. And the power's been out for an hour, so there's no power. So what else? I could read a book by candlelight, right? Or read poetry. Under the spreading chestnut tree, the village smithy stands. The smith a mighty man is he with large and sinewy hands. Since grammar school, I'm still trying to figure out what sinewy means. Sinewy hands means, if that's it. But okay, whack-a-mole. I'm going to be really careful, do one at a time. We'll do 5, and we'll see how this works, okay? So here we go. Whack-a-mole by candlelight. The Claypool, Lennon, Delirium, south of reality. Sean Lennon, Les Claypool from Primus. This is their second album. They're sort of a mix of psychedelia, prog. Saw them twice in Seattle, early when I pretty much first moved here, and you got that kind of sci-fi like prog styling. What else can I say? I think Sean Lennon's doing some cool stuff, and I do have a record that he has a new record coming out, a pre-order. Ooh, I'm amusing myself, aren't I? I hope you're enjoying this. Okay, that's one. iPhones are pretty friggin' cool, aren't they? Two. Ah, this is a 12-inch single, a UK 12-inch original single of the Sex Pistols. Well, this is The Biggest Blow, a punk prayer by Ronnie Biggs Jones. Okay, there we go. And this is the one with Sid Vicious singing My Way. Did you ever see? Okay, when I was working on the Beatles England book that I co-authored with my friend David Bacon in 1980. I'm trying to think what theater it was. It was a theater near Piccadilly Square. We went to see, in fact, in our book is a picture of that theater. And we went to see The Great Rock and Roll Swindle, that documentary on the Sex Pistols. I had seen the Sex Pistols in '76 at Winterland, their final show. And there's that scene, I believe it's that movie, am I right? Where Sid Vicious sings Sex Pistols. And of course, this version is on actually, I have the UK, I have an import of that album. I believe I got that at the same time in the UK. Probably when I came out, I just bought it there. I don't remember exactly, but I'm sure that's when I bought the LP. Need some light here. Look at that. Of course. I actually met Sid Vicious because I was in the KSAN radio studio. KSAN broadcasted Sid Vicious, and I can't remember. It was either the night before or after the show or before the show. My girlfriend at the time worked the weekend on KSAN, but Sean Donahue, I think, interviewed Sid Vicious in the studio, and there's about 15 of us in the studio. For some reason, I was there. I wasn't with Sid, obviously, but I was in there when he was taking calls on the air. So if you ever find, I think there's a bootleg or some kind of recording of Sid Vicious taking calls from KSAN Radio in San Francisco with Sean Donahue, son of Tom Donahue, who created Underground Radio. So that's the closest I ever got to a Sex Pistol. Okay, 12-inch. I did it my way. Okay. 3. Oh, Radio City Big Star. Now, this is a later craft. I never got into that when these albums first came out. Of course, they were they became this sort of cult favorite. And of course, I don't remember which one which order this might have been their second album, I'm thinking. Second or third, well, second, I think. And this is from 1974, so this is actually 50 years old this year. I don't have originals. Kraft did a great reissue series of these some years ago. Was it 5, 6, 7 years ago? God, what a great record. You know, it's interesting how certain bands become these cult bands, and they become so influenced, like musicians are really influenced by them. Velvet Underground is definitely one, but Big Star, oh, my candle, my wick, my wick is shrinking. Don't, no jokes, please. But it's got, now I'm blanking out on his name, you know, from Give Me a Ticket for an Aeroplane. Can't take the last 100 days are gone, and they're gonna wrote me a letter. Was he like 15, 16 when he sang that song for the Box Tops? And he's right, where is he? He's right, there he is on the right. And I can't believe I can't believe I'm forgetting his name right now. But it's dark. You know how you forget things when it's dark? I don't think that's a thing, Maslov. But Chilton, Alex Chilton, there we go. I knew I'd get it. Anyway, and then I am the Cosmos, the other guy, which I forgot right now. Tragic stories all around. But, you know, my buddy Brooks was going, every year he'd go to South by Southwest, and he was going to be there when Big Star and Alex Chilton was going to be there for an event and play for sort of a reunion, I guess, or they were toasting them, whatever you want to call it, honoring them. And he had a heart attack like the day of it starting or the day before. And so they had panels about Alex Chilton and Big Star as a sort of memorial, instant memorial. It's kind of sad. God, I feel like I have to whisper here, don't I? The whisper. You know, I was thinking about this. You know, who is the greatest thespian whisperer, actor whisperer? Ever think of Paul Giamatti, the actor? You know, he kind of whispers like that. He kind of does, doesn't he? Okay, that's 3. That's 3. Okay, 2 more. Stoneground. Okay, I haven't heard this in a while. My buddy Stoneground was, my buddy Coleman was all into this band. I saw them once at Winterland. They had 2 or 3 albums on Warner Brothers Records, maybe 3, maybe a live record too. They were an interesting band. They were kind of soulful, funky, but rootsy, out of California. Sal Valentino from the Beau Brummels was in it. Coleman's roommate at the time was a guy named John Blakey. And John Blakey was a great guitar player, played with a lot of musicians around the Bay Area for years. He is one of the original guitar players on, oh God, what's that famous surf movie from the 60s, 1965 or 66, Surf Summer. You've seen the poster, that kind of silhouette of the surfers on the beach. John Blakey was a guitar player on that, and I met him several times because him and Coleman were roommates in the 70s for a while, maybe even into the 80s. A great guitar player. But Stoneground, huge thing. They got, was it Annie Simpson maybe? But you can't even see this. Like, I'm not going to bother opening these records because it's so dark. But Stoneground played around the Bay Area. They never quite made it. They're an unusual band, but if you see these records on Warner Brothers, they're probably fairly inexpensive. You're into sort of a soulful, I almost want to go in the, like, Delaney and Bonnie area of music, but it's not really that. It's more on the soul side and not the Southern soul side. So I love Sal Valentino's voice. Of course, the singer of Laugh, Laugh, and Little Bit, or Say a Little, what's it called? But him and Ron Elliott really kind of led and wrote the main songs and sang most of the songs with the Beau Brummels. So one more. Let's do one more over here. Oh, come on. Okay. Bob Dylan's Greatest Hits with the Milton Glaser poster. I'm going to skip this one. I mean, you know what it is. It's the Greatest Hits. And this one, this is a Columbia 2i, which is the original. But let's just pick one more since that's like just hits. And There's so much I can say about Bob Dylan, right? Was this his last? This is Elvis Costello's album. It's either his last album or the one before the last album. This is Elvis Costello and the Imposters. The Boy Named If. Not totally successful, but there's interesting things. This is a grower. This is a record, I think, that a lot of people maybe listen to two or three. I think I listened to it 2 or 3 times as well. And I think as I pull it out, now I'm going to play these whenever my power goes on. My power didn't go on yet. But I don't know what else to say about this record. There's no standout tracks here that I could recall, but you got, I mean, obviously, you got some of the attractions, right? He was in the attractions. Produced by Sebastian Kreis and Elvis Costello. Nice hats, boys. I like old guys with hats. I mean, I think that's what we do. We wear hats. Let's do one more. It's dark. What else am I going to do? Read a book? I do read a book. In fact, I just read that. Well, that's for another time, another place. But let's do one more. Let's go way over here. Oh. Okay, this is the debut Smiths album. Of course, Hand in Glove. I got this as a promo from a friend of mine at Warner Brothers, Sire Records in America. Obviously, Seymour Stein signed them. They're on Rough Trade in the UK. I got this record, and I put this on, and I immediately was gobsmacked by the opening track, Reel Around the Fountain. Now, that's not a song that a lot of people talk about. It's not really one of their hits. I don't think it was a single, but there was something about that. It's time to tell us of when I wasn't and you may slap me on the patio. I love that song, and I was obsessed with that song in this album. Of course, it has You Got Everything Now, Pretty Girls Make Graves. I mean, every song in this is great. This Charming Man, Still Ill, Hand in Glove, Suffer Little Children. What difference does it make? You know, this is kind of like a greatest hits. The thing about them, what did they make? 5 albums total. I saw them in Oakland at this place called, it wasn't the big stadium, but the Oakland Arena, I think it's called. But it wasn't the big, huge stadium. And they were terrible. It was a horrible sound. I don't blame them. It was a off night, I thought. It was great seeing them, but I was so disappointed because the sound was so shitty. But I think they're probably my number one 80s band, maybe along with REM and Talking Heads and XTC. Those are the 4 kind of bands. I know some of them started from the 70s into the 80s, like the Talking Heads and XTC, but those are the ones. But they're definitely up there. Johnny Marr I've seen many times. I've never seen Morrissey solo, but his first records, I mean, the wanker he is, I still like his music, and I have every single solo record that Morrissey's done. But this record, of course, is so good. Produced by John Porter. This just turned 40 years old last week, I think, as we speak. So a great, great debut by a great man. One of the great debuts in music. So thanks for what? Oh, my candle went out. How prophetic is that? Mazzy loves you. That's creepy. So long.